Hey, it's Keto again. So I'm gonna answer a question that somebody asked on the Facebook group tonight, I think. At least it's been there. I think he wrote it tonight. Anyway, he said, "Do you think that the disappearances are because of several different factors, or just one?" And personally, I think that it's because of probably several different things. Now, obviously there's gonna be whether Politis wants to admit this or not, I'm sure not a lot, but some of his data that he says he's filtered out all people who wanted to disappear and weather or hypothermia or suicides. I don't think he's filtered all of it out. I think there's definitely some cases where, one of those regular missing person things happened. You know, for a good amount of these cases, it's probably something regular. It's probably the majority. I think that hypothermia probably has a lot to do with the clothes folding neatly stacked. People seem to look into that whole idea or that whole phenomenon that happens like it's some sort of mythical, the craziest, what could this be, whoa, that's fucking crazy type of thing. But guys, it's literally what people do when they are going through hypothermia. Their core is flooding their body with heat because to prevent their limbs and extremities from falling off. So when that happens, your body feels like you're on fucking fire. So, people rip their clothes off, and some personalities probably have they're the folder type. I throw my stuff in a pile on the floor. Some people are the folders, so if they're inclined to have that sort of personality, I'm sure that that's what happens. So I think that people are looking a little bit too deep into the whole neatly stacking the clothes thing. I mean, the simplest answer is probably the right one in this case, and it's probably because of hypothermia. If you want to get crazy, my only other fucking theory on that is whatever entity comes through the portal, after they're done with what they do with the person or whatever, they take whatever they have remaining, like their clothes or the shard of their skull or tooth, and place it back in the general vicinity or area where they snatched them. And maybe the fucking entity wants to fold the clothes too. I mean, it just sounds so stupid. So that's why I just feel like it's got to be hypothermia. Another thing that I've been seeing a little bit of lately is people looking too deep into the whole German ancestry thing. I mean, do you know how many people in America who have German ancestry? A fucking ton. So, I mean, it just makes sense that a lot of these cases have people that have a lot of people with German ancestry because America has a lot of people with German ancestry. I mean, that's just how statistics work. So I think that's another thing people are looking way too deep into. I mean, everything is connected if you overthink it enough. When you're a hammer, everything looks like nails. If you want something to be something, you're gonna make it that way. So that's why I really stress don't overthink the minor details that seem weird, but can be easily explained by simple things like there's a lot of German people in America, or people with German ancestry, or when people go through hypothermia, they take their clothes off. It's not weird. There's a pretty simple answer for these things, and I'm not saying that any of these cases where some of these things happen, maybe it does have something to do with something supernatural or unknown or whatever. I'm just speaking for the vast majority. It's probably the simple stuff. Now, I think that there's also a very small percentage of disappearances that can be attributed to, and this is if you believe in Sasquatch or not. Personally, I do, and I think that there are some tribes of Sasquatch that eat people. I don't think it's many. I think it's the very, very, very small amount, and obviously it depends on their, their own personal cultural taboos or tribal taboos. Each tribe is going to be different, and maybe there's even different species, but I'm just going to go by tribes. So, each tribe probably has their own thing, and it's probably, okay in some tribes, or maybe it's frowned upon, maybe it's completely taboo, or maybe there's some tribes that have gotten to the point where we're like, we're tired of being fucking hungry. These humans have come in, taken all of our land, taken everything from us, our hunting grounds, everything. We're tired of being hungry because of these things. So we're gonna fucking, if we see one alone, we're gonna pick it off and eat it. Like, that's just how it's gonna work. I mean, we need to live, we need to eat. So, I mean, it just makes sense. And anybody who thinks that, like, a Sasquatch wouldn't do that, I mean, there's fucking humans who eat humans, Like, they're not even the same species as us. So, like, it's not like it's cannibalism if they eat us. Like, if you run across something from a different species in the wild, more than likely you're going to consider that you can eat it. Even as humans, we do that. You run across a fucking turtle, you're like, well, I can eat that. You run across a human, you're probably not thinking like, well, I can eat that, because that's not the first thing you think when you see something of your own species. So when Bigfoot, Sasquatch see us, they don't see their own species. They see something different. So probably the first thing that comes to mind is, I can eat that. So, yeah, I mean, and then there's obviously the big one that, I've sort of unleashed, maybe not me, but, me and a couple others have unleashed upon the whole Missing 411 community, with the whole remote viewing, looking into it, the portals, the entities or whatever that come through the fucking portals that are created. I think that is probably the biggest contributing factor to the Missing 411 phenomenon, at least the one that Paulides and, most of the community are, referring to when they're talking about people who disappear, unexplained. They were right there, and then they were just gone. Portals. And whatever snatches them. And we can get into what that creature looks like, because if you've seen pictures from, there's a picture in the thread of that hunter story I read, and he saw somebody that, like, drew a picture of something that, like, a creature they saw in a tree. He was like, wow, the forearm of that creature looks exactly like the creature, the arm that went to grab me, and like the placement of the thumb, which is lower on the hand, like more towards the wrist than like on a human, where our thumb is like towards our palm. It's like towards the bottom of the wrist on this creature. And if you see the picture of the creature, the first thing you're gonna think is that looks like a Sasquatch. So we can talk about what's creating these portals or whatever, but I think that's just gonna lead us down a rabbit hole that I really don't think I want to go into, because the second you start going like, well, the Sasquatch have portal technology, that's when you just sound like a fucking wacko. So I'm not gonna be the person to say that. I'm not even gonna be the person to put that shit in the mix. I mean, I may have mentioned it, but I'm staying far away from that. I don't think that. I don't believe that. Don't attribute that to me. Okay, guys, so that's just my general thoughts on this. Thanks for listening. It's been Keto. Peace and bye.